Hey guys, and welcome back to the 1v1 podcast. I am your host Vlhadus, and today I have a very, very special guest, someone who's notorious in the Ashes of Creation Discord, the guild leader of Enveus, DA. What's up, man?
Hello, everyone. How's it going?
It's going good, man. Like, today was a hell of a day. Super busy at work. I just got back from the honeymoon thing. I got married.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much. So now going back into this week, I had partially my video completed, but it wasn't done. I felt super rushed. I put out, hey, I'm gonna delay my video. That'll come out on Thursday. So if you're listening to this, my video comes out Thursday, 10 a.m. Super excited about that. But in this one episode, it's all about you, DA. So who are you? Like, what even got you into like Ashes of Creation? I don't know. Let's not talk about that right now. Let's talk about like what kind of games have you been playing your whole life? Like, what got you into the whole MMO space? Just curious.
So I originally started off with a couple of games, the World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 11. I played 14 in the past, Terra, Aeon. I was Rift. I was the type of player that essentially I loved MMOs all my life. I would love the idea that you can hop in this game and interact with so many different people, from so many different walks of life, and you can do different things from PvE, PvP, and kind of whatever whatever kind of direction or path you wanted to take. And so like I've played pretty much everything that has come out, or at least given it a try. I recently throughout the years, I've been in a ton of guilds. You've seen everything from like guild leaders ninja looting to people running away with guild banks and all types of just drama and crazy thing, especially when you're playing on that competitive scene. It's a lot of drama, and there's a lot of just like different things going on other different bubbles, right? And
Right.
Throughout the years, just I've went through my fair share of guilds that just weren't the right fit for me. And starting Enveus, I wanted to start a community where you can, no matter what MMO that is coming out, as long as it offers, PvP, maybe some robust PvE, you have a competitive group to kind of go into that and have like-minded individuals as well. And I just, set out to build a competitive environment that, you can also not have a toxic environment. And a lot of times, in those competitive groups, you get these really toxic individuals, and we should really try to strive to stay away from that toxicity, but at the same time, keep a competitive head about us. We go into these games because, we have fun. We like to min-max our gear and our skills and, hit the ground running. So I'm excited to, get going in some of the kind of upcoming titles that we have for it, going forward. Not only Ashes of Creation, but like Arcade 2, The Throne and Liberty. There's a couple of other titles that are under NDA that some of our guys are playing, so we're just kind of waiting for that to come out on the forefront. And we obviously have Riot MMO coming up, as well as Amazon is making another Unreal Engine 5 MMO. So yeah, we've got a lot of things ahead for us, and I'm excited.
Man, that's a lot of information. That was a good little intro, man. Gotta hand it to you. No, but so it's for me. I mean, I've been playing, probably World of Warcraft for like 15, 16 years, and I did not ever think to even start my own guild. Like, I mean, I'm sure you playing MMOs and knowing what it takes to even be an officer in a guild, much less to be a guild leader. Like, so I'm really curious, like, why did you decide to just take the reins and say, you know what, shit, I'm gonna just do this myself, and I'm gonna create Enveus, and I'm gonna just do it like on my own? Because there's so much work that goes into being a guild leader, especially an effective one. Like, I mean, coming from Axiom, man, I really give it to our leadership, to being structured, to being organized, to being professional. Because at the end of the day, that's what, like, a player like myself, that I wanted to just go to a place that had all of it like done. Like, I can just slip into the machinery and just, it's smooth and the engine's going, and it's, and I think a lot of times with guilds, right, you're always so worried of the vibe. Is it going to click for me, So I'm really curious, like, so what really allowed you to just say, screw it, I'm just gonna do it myself?
That's a great question. First of all, before I answer that, I'd like to start off and just say shout out to Angel Cry. She is a wonderful, wonderful individual, man. There is no one I enjoy more just playing games with and collaborating with than her. She's very trustworthy. She's just
She's
very
awesome.
level-headed. Yeah, she's awesome. And yeah, I enjoy playing games with you guys. We've played a ton of games in the past together, so yeah, it's definitely been a ton of fun. Now, to answer your question, we really the real reason I started this is early in the Ashes of Creation Discord, there were very few options for guilds running. I was actually previously, a couple of years before Ashes of Creation even was a thing. I was in a guild, and this I was playing that we were playing with a raid group. The guild leader insisted that we bring his wife to the raid that we were doing. And we were like, okay, we don't have a problem with that. We don't have a problem teaching her the raid as long as she's able to do mechanics and play at the level that we're looking for. We get into
Right.
the raid and she's unable to keep up with any mechanics, and we're wondering why she's dying fast. Come to find out, like, she was still in green gear and blue gear. She didn't have any of her gear gemmed, and so I even took out the time. I was like, look, I'll go get you geared up, and I will pay for all of your gems.
Right.
Just get geared up and let's go tackle this again. She did not want to. She didn't want that. She said she didn't want any handouts, and she should be good enough for where she was at the time to essentially, raid with us. And so, we told her that, like, look, unless she's going to be able to kind of step up to the level that we're looking for, she can't. We can't take her with you. There's no way we're going to win the
Right.
trade. So the leader essentially told us that no one in the guild is allowed to raid if that's the way we're going to be about not taking his wife. And it was just it was such a funny concept to me, because I was like, does this guy really think he can tell me I can't do a raid in the guild because he's got a guild leader? Like, no. So I ended up just leaving the guild. I had a bunch of people end up coming to join with me because they were just kind of tied to that as well. And from there, I just sought to make like I said, a group that where you can raid, you can do PvP, you can play at a competitive level without having to deal with toxicity or people, leaders that are looking just out for themselves, looking to make a guild so they can make the gold quick in the game and get out of there with the loot. I'm very much I like going into these large scale games because like me and the boys, we just like to we play to win. We play to just have a good time. We love those 3 a.m. Late night Discord calls where we're up and just grinding in the mines, and a group of from another other guild runs up, and it starts to PvP. We love those, like, just how much like time and effort it takes to with throughout the organization. And so, like, going forward, I just, like I said, I try to build that platform, like I said, so that I can bring other like-minded individuals who want to go competitive in other games and not have to search for another group every game that they go into. One of the things that was kind of a issue for me. I played in the past. I played Soul Tour. I played Terra. Like I said, I played Rift. I played all these different games, and in each game, I would kind of go look for, like, okay, what is the kind of like top end group, or what's the group that's going to go hard in this game, or what's the group that's going to go hard in this game. And it was always like, sometimes you get something good, sometimes you don't. And so, like, I just want to build a community that people can, no matter what the game we go into, we can play with a group of people that we enjoy playing with at that level.
No, for sure. I mean, my biggest pet peeve as a raider of probably 13 or probably 12 years is I hate when a person tries to get their rule set pushed on others. If you are a casual and you go into a hardcore raid and you expect the hardcore raid to cater to you as a casual, that's stupid. Like, you have to then I have to just not be in this raid because I'm a super casual person, like, with that lady or the wife or whatever. Like, hey, I should not be in this guild. I should be in a raid group filled with people like me. And I really hate it when people try to press their casualness on hardcore people. And I also hate the flip side of it too. Like if you're a super hardcore person and you go into a very casual raid and you start to impose like hardcore like practices, like, oh, your damage, you know, the damage meters you're showing like you're worse than the tank, like what the hell are you doing, like you should be standing over here, and like, and you try to basically overtake the raid. That's not good either, you know what I mean? And so I feel like it's always my whole struggle usually was always trying to find a guild that literally just meshed with me. There was always things that I felt like I just had to put up with, like, oh god, this guy or this girl, like, oh my god, like girls, I'm so sorry if you're a girl, but every time I'm in a guild and there's girls in that guild, I hate that guild because the girls just expect this level of like cateredness to them because they're women. And again, this is not like all girl gamers, but I mean, I think girl gamers can even attest, you know, when, you know, if you're a normal girl gamer and you meet the girl gamer person, like it's just so terrible, man. And I was really because, you know, joining Axiom, I was like, oh my god, my guild leaders are girl, like there's girl officers, like there's like 3 or 4 or 5 girls like that I know of in Axiom, and I was just really afraid. But they're all cool, like they're all super chill, like super like-minded. And I was like, oh, thank god, because I don't know, I think girls usually cause the most drama most of the time in like MMORPG guilds. So
I would honestly, I would say that I would say that it's just about as equal, especially from what I've seen over the time. It's just as equal. I think so. A lot of times you just hear more of the drama with the girls. That it's louder with when that happens, because it's just like, ooh, you fell for the trap, right? And you know, but guys are just as dramatic, and they cause just as much drama as women. But it also depends on the type of player that you get. You get those some players that are like, oh, I just want to be like, hey, I'm nice, I have a cute voice, you know, donate to me. But then you get some of the, you know, some real, you know, gamer girls that they hit it, man. Like I know we have a couple people like Talia, like Reckless, quite a few women in our guild that they grind, and they grind hard. And so yeah, like there's a ton of them, and you know, it really just depends on, you know, what type of people, but you never know what you're gonna get. It's kind of a roll of the dice, so you know.
No, for sure. I mean, and honestly, like I really applaud you for doing that, because again, just the level of responsibility that comes into, you know, orchestrating a guild. And Enveus is massive, right? You guys have over what, like 1,500, or is that right?
So within our community, I think we have about 1,500 within the Discord itself. For Alpha 2, we have, I think, my last count after our prune, we were sitting at like 190. But we've gotten quite a few applicants since then. But yeah, you know, we plan to have a pretty sizable force going into Alpha 2, and you know, through that we'll, you know, a lot of times we'll have to prune some people just based on you know, if they fit our standards or not. But we are looking to we do restrict our recruitment on the Alpha 2, just because we're trying to focus on the people who are going to be there and you know, consistent, playing and active within that, and consistent. And as we move into closer to other testing phases, we'll obviously open recruitment to those other package holders. But it's just more so you don't have those people who are kind of sitting around and soaking up the information, and then they realize, oh well, I don't really like this guild, or maybe you guys aren't the right fit for me, but thanks for all your spreadsheets and information, I'm just going to go take this to my next group of friends, right? So again, we just really want to focus on those people who are there and with us.
So is and just to say this, and then we'll go into Ash's stuff, but is Enveus like going, like what's y'all's objective, like when Ashes launches? Like, are y'all planning, like what are you guys planning to do? Like, and maybe that's too much information, but I just wanted to ask.
No, that's completely fine. Okay. Our objectives is to settle ourselves within the node with whichever, you know, node type we deem is the best for us. Obviously we plan to go after, you know, a castle. We plan to be a Patreon node, but we really just kind of want to bring in enough people to essentially just kind of be a part of everything that it does, you know, the game has to offer, be it naval combat, be it raiding, PvP, and then at the same time have enough people to kind of just be picky and choosy on who we bring into our the war core and things like that. But at the same time, a lot of us, we have a lot of people excited for many different parts of it. Some people are excited. Some of my guys are excited to play the economy and move regional gear.
Right.
I mean, regional resources. And I know some of our guys are excited to go throw an extractor down on some, orichalcum and have to defend, have the PvPers come defend them while they extract that ore. Some of our
Right.
guys
Right.
are
Right.
excited to, defend caravans. So it's just like one of the things, the great things about the game. It does offer so many facets to just not only PvP but PvE, and then intermingling them and on the whole broader scale. That's what excites me. Because like
For
me
sure.
personally, I primarily enjoy PvP, but at the same time, I plan to move, defend caravans. I plan to raid. I plan to do some of those epic world bosses. I like doing a lot of those things. I like the
Right.
exploration. The naval combat. I can't wait to live on the sea. I can't wait to, the upkeep of it. A lot of times, I think a lot of people think that, I'm just going to be a pirate and I'll never leave the sea. Well, if you ever played arcades, there's a lot of upkeep of those boats, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you get sunk, you're going to have to pay a hefty price to, get that galleon back up and running. So like,
Oh
I'm just
yeah.
kind of excited for that, all of that intermingling together to just be able to, I log on and whatever I want to do today, but be it, hunting or bounty hunting or, mob grinding or
Oh, for
a
sure.
world boss or some dungeon boss. I have that choice.
No, for sure. And I think it's all of those interconnected systems that make it feel either very nerve-wracking for me as a player, because I hear systems and I think of World of Warcraft, and systems is like a bad word to say.
Mhm.
But with Intrepid and with Steven and how they're doing it, I really hope they can really make these systems feel really fleshed out and work together and not against each other.
Right.
So like, dude, let's talk about this August live stream, man. And just to
That was a lot of information.
just to preface, right, you are a part of PI, right?
Yes.
Okay. So God, man, this I was overwhelmed, man. Like I was just like overloaded. Like I think once they got to the caravan part of the update, my brain was like fried. I felt like I can't retain any information anymore, because like I was like writing stuff down on my little like my little notepad here, and I was just, what? Like I don't know, it was just so much information. So like, what was your biggest takeaways from like everything that they talked about in this live stream? Like what really stood out to you?
Let's see. So a lot of people, I think there's a lot of speculation in the community on like kind of where Intrepid's at in development, when are we going to get that out 2 and whatnot. But it is, I have to say, it's really refreshing to see things like policies and these caravan informations and all of these kind of minute details come out, because it really shows that they are getting away from the, hey, we're trying to figure out the most basic core pillars of how this is going to work, either through our node system or through our combat, to just kind of refining, like, this is what we want for our weapons, our heavy and light attacks to look like. This is what we want our blocking to be like. This is what we want, the intricacies of our nodes to look like with the, policies. And so as we continue to move forward, as we see, the Ranger coming up, and some of the things that I wish I could reveal to you guys, but it is unfortunately under the NDA. There is a lot of good stuff that Intrepid is cooking, and every month that like we find out something and then they tell some more stuff to you guys, and it's just like, oh my gosh, like I remember playing the BR and you're just like, man, what is this gonna be like? What is this gonna be like? I wonder what this is gonna be like. And now you're like, holy shit, you guys have this, like, oh my gosh, like. And then it's just really cool to see a lot of this come together, and go more from just like concept and on paper to actual in-game mechanics.
Well, I think the one thing that stood out to me greatly is when I heard about the happiness system and the policy system, the way I kind of took it in my head is like constructing a house. If you have a contractor who's building your house, and then you see behind him like the construction of the house, and the foundation is barely being built, and he's there talking to you about cabinets in the kitchen. Why would he be talking to me about cabinets if the foundation isn't even done yet? Like, and that's what I got from the policy system and the happiness system, a part of the nodes. And this is what I've always said. I think, and I've always believed, they are way further along than we think they are. And it seems like they've been doing a crap ton of internal testing with these nodes. What feels good, what doesn't, what do we need to add? Like, what's going to make it feel more complete, more full? And that's what I got from this whole live stream, is the fact that, like, I really do feel that the node system and structure is done. I feel like there is a house behind him, and the reason why he's discussing cabinets is because the kitchen is freaking done too. You know what I mean? And so again, that's, I know you can't say anything, but all I'm saying is that's what I got as someone looking outside the hourglass. And that made me really excited. The other thing that made me excited too, talking about naval stuff, man, is the fact that there's going to be a safe zone right on the coast. And as soon as you go and you start going past that coastline, it's gonna be that 3, 2, 1, bam, you're in open waters. You are now flagged. Like that, for someone who doesn't PvP usually, that really excited me. I mean, I think that is a brilliant decision for open seas, and especially for people who want to do the whole pirate, life and stuff like that. The other thing I would really want them to do, and if I can give feedback, is I really want neutral node ports. Because if you are corrupted, right? If you want to really live a pirate life and you're going and you're killing your PKing players or whatever, I feel like there should be, maybe not a lot, maybe very limited neutral ports where, because they said if you're corrupted and you go to a node town, you're just gonna be killed on sight because you're like a monster, and that's fine. But there should be node areas that are completely neutral, kind of like a Gagadzin or a Booty Bay in World of Warcraft. Like if like it's just they don't care. They're neutral. They don't have an alliance to anything. You can be corrupted and be in that town. It's fine. And I think that has a whole other level to it as well, because that's sort of like the Pirates of the Caribbean main town, right? Like all of the bad people are probably there. You know what I mean? So that's what I kind of like. I wish they do, because I would love for them to be able to launch into the seas even corrupted. So. I don't know what you think about that.
One of the things that I that's actually not a bad idea. I'm not sure how they plan to do that. One of the only downside I could see is with the corruption system and how they're going, they want things to be inaccessible to you. So I'm not sure if they're going to add something that has accessibility, but that's kind of up in the air. Honestly, what I've always thought it would be is more akin to I'm not sure if you've ever played ESO. But ESO, if you kill a guard or if you do something to break the law, steal weapons, or anything, there in every town, there's what's called a fence, and there's this area. It's usually like a kind of a trap door or a hidden entrance, and it's usually on the outskirts of town, or like this kind of secret place that you gotta sneak into, maybe do just a little parkour, but it's nothing that's like inaccessible to you, and you can avoid the guards. And essentially you go into this underground cavern, and they have NPCs that you can interact with that don't care about your corruption status. And one of them, if you pay the NPC, he will remove your bounty. So I know they want to go with a kind of maybe either they talked about quests that can remove your corruption or different things like that. I could see them having kind of just that underground system, especially with what they want to do with their NPC player agency and whatnot.
Or even the Underrealm, right?
Yeah, you go to some NPC in the Underrealm, and he's like, I don't care about your corruption, just do this quest for me and we'll help remove it from you.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like, I understand that corruption is supposed to be a punishment. And as much as I don't believe that being corrupted is a gameplay loop, it is. You know what I mean? Like, I have to accept that. And the fact is that there should be ways for you to go into the sea even if you are corrupted. Because I remember Steven saying, this was like maybe last year, that if your boat explodes, you are just now stuck on the sea. Like, your character is there. So even if you were to board the boat corrupted, your boat is still purple like a combatant. But if your boat like blows up, like you're still red, you're still corrupted. So your player character is red, and people can probably kill you, or even the sea monsters out there, just out in the water, will kill you too. And maybe they're even more aggressive towards corrupted players. But all I'm trying to say is that I would like some kind of a little gameplay loop for corrupted players, because at the end of the day, like, I know it's not going to be a lot of it, and I'm not trying to incentivize corruption either, but I'm just saying there are people that do want to live out that fantasy. So allow them, like, even if it is someone you can talk to in the Underrealm, where you can just be like, hey, I can sell you a boat, or I can dock you to a boat, and it's not really in a legit node location, sort of like a black market kind of thing. Like, that'd be really cool, and that would also cater to the fantasy of pirates and kind of the thievery and stuff like that. But yeah, the naval stuff really, really excited me, and I really would love to freaking see just a UI. Like, how are we gonna sail? Is it gonna be like Sea of Thieves? Like, is it gonna be like Lost Ark? Like, I want to know so much about naval. Like, it's kind of driving me nuts. And I think a lot of people kind of reminisce it back to Arcage. And did you play Arcage, DA, at all?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so do you think it's going to be similar to that kind of naval system? Because I know that's a game Steven played.
So for the naval system, I think it's going to be a little bit more expanded on. I'm not sure if you've ever played the game Black Wake.
No, I've not.
In Black Wake, whenever you have the driver of the ship, just like you would in Arcage, but you also have somebody either on the telescope. Arcage, you would have a radar system that somebody would essentially just look at the radar, and you could see enemy ships that are near you. But it was very basic. You repair. You use the sand to repair in holes in the ship, and you fired your cannons. Excuse me. I think Esches is looking to take that a step forward with like different skills. So like, you're going to have somebody on the sails. You're going to have not only repair, but you're going to have to reload the cannons. There's a little bit of a process to like reloading the cannons, like put in the gunpowder,
right,
put in the ammo, and then shove it with the little I can't think of the little stick that you shove the ammo down the hole, and then push the cannon up and then fire,
right,
and then keep that reload process going. So it'll be very interesting to see how they do that. But I think they're gonna be looking to go for something more than just like have 40 people on the ship. Maybe a couple people on some cannons, and pray for the best.
Right. Well, I know, because I think they have Steven point blank if there is going to be like guns or like cannons or stuff like that. And I think he mentioned that there was going to be more potion launchers, similar to the way it was in the Battle Royale. And I'm like, that's cool. You know what I mean? Like, I don't mind a different take on that. I guess, like, I'm just really curious to see like what it's going to take to make a naval ship, the different stages of them, like, and how many people it's going to take to actually like man like the different stages of those ships. I think that's going to be really exciting. But the other reason why I'm so excited for naval stuff is actually a really silly reason. It's honestly Unreal Engine 5. Water in Unreal Engine 5 looks amazing.
Yeah,
like, it looks good. And I don't know why that really excites me. Like, I'm just really wanting to see just the beautiful waves and stuff like that. Because even when Steven was showing stuff back in Unreal Engine 4, the water looked really good in Unreal Engine 4. And it's going to look even better with Unreal Engine 5, the water physics, the light the reflections and stuff like that. It's going to be so good. I'm so excited. And
yeah.
And just to mention, like, they did go over, I guess we can talk about some of the little ancillary stuff, like the happiness thing of the nodes, the policies, the different kind of node buffs. Like, what did you think about like those kinds of things?
I think, like I said earlier, I think those were great additions. I think the policies look very interesting. I'm interested to see what the other racial benefits bring to the table. That might, I think that's going to sway a little bit of what people play, but people are going to have a lot of decisions based on racial buffs and our perks and things like that. The happiness system, it seems great. I think that drives more people to want to do stuff around the node. Hey, maybe I'm just endlessly killing monsters to grind my level, but hey, I notice our node is getting attacked. I don't want that happiness level to go down because I get I'm getting an EXP buff from that. I'm gonna go defend this node real quick. And so, like, I think one of the things that I think is going to be not only interesting about Ashes, but a little bit it's going to take some time for people to get used to, is the game is not going to revolve around like this is my personal character's progression. It's going to be about the world progression. It's not going to be so much about what you do as a character, and more so of like what you and your group obtains.
Right.
For the world. What leaderboards do you get? Yeah, exactly like that. Yeah. So, and I think, and that's gonna turn into a different dynamic of gameplay for everyone. So I think like a lot of these things, I play a lot of 4X games. I play Humankind, I play Civilization, and so a lot of these things that they seem to be doing with the node is very reminiscent of what you see in kind of those 4X games, where you have to keep up that town or that city, and you have to grow at building districts, building different buildings within it. And that's the part that I'm excited for.
No, for sure. I mean, the one thing I think of, especially when they're talking about the vassal structure and how the new vassal structure is going to work, is with these policy buffs. If you're like in a part of the level 3, so there's a 3, you're a citizen of the level 3, there's a 4 above you, and then a 5, and then a 6. Are the buffs, like, do they trickle down? Like, if like, I'm just really curious of how does the buffs stack? And that's another benefit of being a part of a vassal, or whatever citizen of the node you are, you're only going to have that node buff. Like, that's one question I have.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, and the other question I had is there going to be levels? Because I know there's going to be like, if the Tolnar take over there's going to be Tolnar buildings and everything like that, and there's going to be Tolnar buffs for the ZOI. Is there going to be different levels of buffs, right? So the more we contribute, there's like the first buff we can get, which is a pretty good one. And there's like a second one that's like, oh, it's really, really good. And there's another one that's also really, really good. And we basically have like different levels for each of the races that go down. Maybe there's like 5 buffs per race, per node that we can get. You know what I mean? So that way it's not just like, oh, we don't want Renkai's doing it because their Renkai one sucks. And you're going to start getting into the whole min-maxi thing of like, if there's only one policy to pick from, it's, I don't think that's gonna be good. I don't think that's gonna be the case, because why would it be one policy to vote in and to vote out? That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. They haven't given us kind of a lot of information on that. I think it is going to be a little bit of a trickle down, just so that it gives a reason to kind of belong to those, that belong to that stage 3 node, that stage 2 node, and the city one, right? You don't want those nodes to just not be populated, or people to not want to travel there. So essentially you kind of build your node system based off of how you want your policies to align, right? You might be a citizen of the metropolis because the metropolis has the gathering buffs you want, and but your other person might be a citizen of the the stage 2 node or stage 3 node because he's still leveling in his leveling process, and they have an EXP buff.
And I think all that's just really, like I said, it's really interesting, because I think especially for how vassals can come together, and that's another thing I'm kind of curious about, is how do vassals get created? Like, is it like a treaty that one mayor talks to another mayor and says, hey, we want to kind of group up to vassal? Like, I'm just really curious about that whole process, and I'm sure it'll be fleshed out later on, but that's just another question I had. Let's talk about the big thing, the triple the size of the original map to now 1,200 squared kilometers. Like, were you expecting something that magnitude, or like what was going through your mind when you heard that news?
Honestly, when they told me about that, I think that I honestly welcomed it. I thought that was very much needed, especially with how many people they had planned to have free nodes, right? Freeholds. There's so many things they want to do with their open world, and just the way the size of the world, and kind of how they had the map laid out previously, it seemed like it would be a little bit dense. Like, it wouldn't be as spread out as I kind of envisioned, and that might lead to some issues in like with spacing of houses, the different buildings and businesses you can build out within the world and things like that. So,
right. I mean, I was like floored. I was like, holy God, are you serious? Like,
yeah,
that was like,
yeah.
that was sort of a huge reveal, because I honestly thought that the map reveal wasn't really going to be, I thought it was going to be bigger, but not like by that much. I honestly thought it was going to be more drastic in the sense of when he started saying to encourage naval, I was thinking, oh, he might split the 2 continents into like 4, right? Or 3. So there's going to be like a major part here and then 2 other ones. So that way it's encouraging more, like having to go on boats to travel to different continents, right? That's what I thought. But now we still got the 2 continents, but there's actually like little islands, and there's actually like a pretty decent chunk of land on the north and also in the south. And there's also one right in the center. So I was like, dang, okay, like this is actually interesting. You know what I mean? Like this is an interesting world. Right. So I'm very, very curious to see how that's going to work, because I also saw that on the western continent, there's the Volcano Region, which wasn't there on the old map. Yeah. I was like, that dude, and I'm telling you, they've been talking about that Volcano Region for a minute. We heard rumbles about that like in December, like when they were talking about the Unreal Engine or whatever the heck. So I am like, I know that they are hard at work in Alpha 2. And do you think it's still going to be where we're only going to start off on the eastern continent still, like of this new map for Alpha 2?
No, I think they say that they plan to have multiple divine gateways. So essentially, you're going to be able to pick, kind of where you want to start beforehand.
So you think we're going to have both continents available, like when Alpha 2 starts?
Now, it might be half of both of those continents. We might only have like the bottom half.
That makes sense. Makes sense.
I do think they're going to be a little bit. I don't think they're going to give us the full continent, but I do think that they're going to give us a good chunk of both, because they do want to see like how bless you. I'm sorry, my girlfriend is sneezing. They want to see what travel time looks like what it feels like, moving materials across.
Right.
2 different large bodies of landmass with the sea in between. So I think it's important that they at least have both, at least a small chunk of both sides of the landmass.
No, for sure. And I speaking about sending stuff from thing to thing, let's talk about the caravans, right? That was another system that they basically went into. What do you think of the changes when it comes to the Caravansery, which is a new basic node building that's going to be inside all the nodes? Like, what do you think about that? Like, and how it's going to launch, and you can be able to teleport to the construction of the node and then be able to like go off into your adventures.
Yeah, so like we've seen the Caravansery in Alpha 1. I know that we streamed ourselves running a couple of caravans. Unfortunately, they were very buggy and like in that early gameplay state. So like, it was hard to sign up as an attacker or defender. You ran over another mount and it was easily launchable in the air, and your caravan would fly 100 feet in the air, and you're just like, all right, well, I guess this is over with. Let's go back up and go home.
Right.
But I do think like they've done a lot of work to kind of improving that, and it's really good to see that they've thought about like the ability to kind of just pick your spawn location of your caravan, and the ability, the ability to kind of spawn that and then warp your members to somewhere around the node, so that you can use that. You guys can escort that caravan out and not just have people follow you outside the town. That was a big thing in New World where, people would just flag down and follow you wherever your group was going, so that, their group can come meet up with you and just, try to zerk you down. So it's going to be really, I think that's a great mechanic that they introduced. So you're going to have scouts out there looking. If you're trying to gank a caravan, you're going to have people out there doing that recon.
No, for sure. I mean, do you remember that photo they showed us of one of the major, like, metropolises of the Riverlands? It's like a huge, like, castle kind of place. That place looks huge. If you're in the Caravansery in that node and you be able to literally spawn in a 360 area of the entire like ZOI of the town to spawn your caravan. Like my whole fear was it being super robotic. Like there's the caravan's going to launch in a node the same way every time, and it almost felt like a sitting duck at that point. I'm like, that's not going to be like good. Like you're adding more risk to the people launching these things that the people aren't going to launch them. But with this, it actually makes it even better, and especially with these caravan components that you're able to add, which is going to be able to add like physical mitigation, damage mitigation, and hopefully and potentially, I'm going to cross my fingers, of even adding like special buffs or abilities that your caravan can do, maybe like even at a one-time use. Like I was sort of thinking like it'd be really cool, like if you got some components made from like a profession person to say like, hey, you created this thing where you can apply this component to your caravan, and the first 10 seconds of your caravan, you and your entire party are invisible. You know what I mean? Like, or you can even have like a special like a goblin blaster to be like, you're gonna get 300% movement speed for 5 seconds, and it's like a one-time use kind of thing. Like I think those kinds of things like would be super duper cool, because
absolutely,
I feel like there's so much risk to the people launching caravans. And I don't know if you've seen DA of people talking about like are caravans even going to be used? Like, are people just going to have a guild like as big as yours, and you're just going to have thousands of people running and just equally distribute the stuff that you were going to transport throughout all of your people and just run together as a guild instead of doing a caravan? Like, I mean, so how do you think caravans are actually going to be used practically by players?
So, you know, one of the things I find funny is when people think that, like, you know, hey, I just thought of this idea off the top of my head. I'll be able to gamify the system easy. And it's just like, you know, I'm pretty sure if you were able to think of that within like, 2 minutes, the developers are able to, think of this as well. So
For
it's
sure.
like when it comes to the ability to kind of gamify the system, I think caravans are going to be for that large material use, right? Yeah, you can have a bunch of your guild members using, moving it as a large Zerg at the same time. But, for anybody who's played Arcade, when you ran those personal carts, they were not fast. I mean, you're chugging along at a little bit faster than maybe running, but not by all. And if anybody, 90% of the game had movement speed buffs or a mount, you could easily catch up with people and just destroy them and take their packs. So like, right. I think it's going to be more akin to that, where your personal caravans are going to be these carts that you're going to have to push at a decent size, a decent speed, and maybe you kind of outfit that for a little bit more speed or a little bit more protection or whatnot. But you're going to want to put your items on these caravans, because when you're on that cart, you can't defend yourself. You get off that cart, your items that are in these boxes, which are in these trade packs, are sitting on the ground. You're at the crates. They're open on they're sitting ducks. So like, right. you're gonna want to load that into that caravan so that they're protected. They have more defense, and that you can defend and fight. I can't fight, I can't defend crates on the ground, but I can definitely, because people are going to be looting them while they fight. But right. I can definitely defend a caravan that's just keeping on pushing, and you have to physically take it down and break it open to get access to those items.
No, for sure. And the other thing that I hear people say too is that should there be rewards or special bonuses for people who launch caravans? Because again, like there's just so much reward for the attackers and not much risk, but there's a ton of risk for the people that are launching those caravans. And I mean, it's not saying it's not much reward, because the whole point of you going from point A to point B is to sell those items and get a better and heftier return. But I mean, I don't know if that feels like an even exchange. I don't know. Like, do you think there should be some sort of like, if you reach your desired destination, that maybe there's like some additional materials, like whatever materials you have in there can get like, I wouldn't say multiplied, but just like a 5% bonus or something like that. Even if it's like a once a week buff that you get.
So currently, the way the system works, like you have to pay for, like, especially in Alpha 1, we have to put in materials and items and gold to pay for that caravan, right?
Right.
So as long as they keep a system to where the person launching that has to pay in to kind of cover the cost for those NPC guards or the people defending that caravan,
Right.
I think that's how they should weigh it as far as the reward. um, Obviously you can do things like, if you have more rare material, the server gives you more incentive. I know
Right.
there's also going to be player stats, right? So like people are going to want to defend caravans a lot more than they think they're going to want to gank them, because it's like,
Right.
do I raid this guy's caravan for his 10k gold worth of items when I make 10k like just sneezing,
Right.
or do I defend it to get my I'm sorry, babe. Do I defend it to get my ranking up? So like when people say like, "Hey, I want to pay for caravan defense," they're willing to pay me, 100k, 150k to defend, their really rare defense, their really rare materials, because
Right.
they know I'm good for it. They know that I have a reputation of defending those caravans without losing.
No, for sure. I mean, and the other thing, I saw Asmongold, and I'm actually mentioning stuff that's in my videos, so it's okay. But Asmongold was talking about his worry for caravans is basically like I said, just doing the whole like 1,000 people running with materials and stuff like that. However, he was also saying because of like sieges, because of big ticket items, like it just doesn't seem like, oh, I make a caravan and I put the caravan in my backpack. Like that doesn't make sense. Like a caravan's huge. Like how could you put that in your backpack? But that's how most MMOs are, right? So he was basically saying that for certain finished processed goods or even finished crafted goods that are huge, like naval pieces, caravan pieces, even siege pieces, the only way to transport those items is by caravan. And I really love that idea.
I completely agree.
I think having those items like in a backpack, like, oh, I have an entire flank of naval stuff in my backpack. It's like, what? Like that doesn't make sense. It's like, but some backpacks and MMOs are like these endless voids of like just stuff, whatever the hell you want. I have 1,000 ore in my backpack. You know what I mean? Like, or whatever. So I really feel like if they were to do those big ticket items and the only way to transfer them or to go from point A to point B is through caravan, that would really force players to be like, dang guys, we have a lot of stuff for our naval stuff and we have to send this to port. Like we gotta send it in a caravan, like, because we're all the way over here in the mountains. You know what I mean? So I think because that's my number one fear, DA, is the fact that caravans won't be used. Like, you know what I mean? Like people are gonna look at caravans like, this is stupid. I'd rather just run it myself or get like 10 members of my guild, just run together to the place I need to go. But if you can't do that, like you have no choice. You know what I mean? And I think that's sort of like the balance that even Intrepid's looking for. So I really hope that they do something to that nature, because I just really want caravans to be successful at the end of the day. And I've heard so many, like you talked about Arcage, and I've heard so many much more negative things than positive about their caravan system, which really freaking scares me. Because
I mean, Arcage definitely had its own fair share of issues. It's not the perfect game, but they definitely did a lot of things right. And if they would have just basically kind of focused on expanding on that versus focusing on how to milk more money through pay to win, the game would have been a lot more successful than it currently is. And I completely agree with you. I think those siege tools should definitely be, they've talked about their armory system, right? Have you store your siege tools or your siege weapons in the armory. If I know that X guild is going to war with me, and I notice that they're moving caravans towards their guild castle a lot frequently, hey, those guys look like they're moving siege tools. It doesn't look like they're moving
preparing
just
for
regular
war.
material. Exactly. So like, let me be able to affect the outcome of the war of like, hey, this group is low, they don't have this many ballista because the past couple of weeks we've been making sure we've been hitting their siege supply, so they're low on siege supply for that upcoming war. And like, I think that's the kind of gameplay that all of us want to see out of Ashes versus more of just like that oh, I just carry stuff across the continent with large groups of friends, and I think Intrepid is taking that into account when they look at their design.
I think any company right now that is listening, it's Intrepid, and that's the only reason why I'm making videos and being a content creator for Ashes, because I feel like making content for World of Warcraft is like screaming into a black hole. Like, why am I going to waste my energy? It's not going to be listened to. They're going to say they're listening, but they're not. Like, and Intrepid to me has always proven, and what proved it to me is I didn't participate in Alpha 1. I didn't back them at that time, but I was watching very closely. And when they were literally talking about this whole split body and root motion debate, within a week, people were talking about that. They gave y'all the option to just hit tab and be like, y'all can choose to see what y'all like better. Do you like split motion, root motion, or whatever? Like, and I'm like, bro, like, do you know how fast World of Warcraft would have done something like that? Months. They would have done the next patch and said, oh, we listened, like 8 months later, and here's Intrepid literally giving you guys like that kind of laterality as y'all were testing, like within a week. And I was like, holy God, like, and that's what really kind of inspired me to even think of making content again for Ashes. And it's been really nice, because I do feel like Steven is not an idiot. Like, he has played games and he's hired people that are MMO gamers, which makes me really freaking excited. And I'm sure they have, like, I don't know how it feels to be in those PI meetings, man, because I would just like nerd out like all the time. Like, but it must feel really, really good to be a part of something that you feel like they're listening.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's that's my mic on. I'm sorry. Okay, just to making sure my mic was on. I didn't. Yeah, man, I think that's one of the best things that's going for Intrepid is like they're so early in development, and since they interact with their community so much, they take feedback. Not just from PI, right? Like they have those office hours every other weekend. They take feedback on various things from combat or to their biomes or kind of what people want to see, tropes they want people. They want. We kind of want them to avoid when it comes to just MMO itself, and so like they do a lot of like community engagement, and it's really good to see that like a company that cares about like our feedback, but also at the same time kind of sticks to their guns. They have a vision, they know what they want their game to look like, and while they do take feedback from us as a community, they don't let certain feedback kind of sway them from making the game that they are looking to make.
Oh, for sure. I mean, speaking of feedback, the Nakuas, like, bro, like, so the Dunir was atrocious looking the first iteration, and they're like, okay guys, okay, we got y'all's feedback, we're gonna chill, we're gonna redesign, and boom, beautiful freaking dwarfs. And then the Nakuas came out, and I'm like, like, I get, the kind of vibe they're going with, but man, these new updated Nakuas, like, I'm not going to play Nakua, but I think they look radically better comparatively to what they look like. It looks so good. And even the Empyreans, man, like, I've always been a Blood Elf person in World of Warcraft. I love elves. I am so hard pressed now because I want to play a Renkai. Like, that's like my race. Like, I am so ready to play a freaking Renkai.
Yeah, same here.
Oh, really, dude? You're a fellow brother?
Renkai gang, man.
Dude, I am so pumped.
It looks so good. I can't wait to make a big, beefy boy. Now, however, I will preface that with I do have the angel and demonic racial skin from Kickstarter, so that'll probably be kind of what I play a majority of the time, but I am excited to do the Renkai, and I'm also trying to, like I said, I'm excited to see what some of these racial stats look like, because what is it going to look like playing some of these different races, and what sort of stats are they going to give us, what sort of boons are they going to give us for the node and whatnot.
I am, it's so weird, man, because I remember racials in WoW were like so overpowered for a long time, especially back in Classic and stuff like that. There were just certain races that you needed to be, like dwarf priest, like, for Alliance. Like, if you were playing a priest, like, you were just a dwarf, like, because it was just so overpowered to have that that racial, I forgot what it was called, but I mean, I love that kind of gameplay though. Like for me, the most important aspect of an MMO game to me is class design and class depth. Like, and that also applies to the race itself, because if the race itself has depth, then I want to be able to kind of see like what I want to do. Renkai to me, like, it just looks so badass. I love orcs, you know, World of Warcraft. I really want to see tusks, like the little things they have. Like, I don't like, what is that? Like, I want freaking some tusks on my orc. I want him to look mean. I want him to look like the freaking minotaurs that look so ferocious. Like, I don't want my guy to look like Earl. Like, I don't know, like that one photo of the Renkai, not the newest ones, but the old one with the brown orc. He just looked like, what's that movie from back in the day? It was like a 90s movie with like Harry the, I don't know, it was like a Yeti or whatever guy. Like, it kind of looked like that. Like, it just didn't look right to me. I'm like, but I let it slide only because, again, they've been iterating these races, right? They've been getting them better and better and better. So especially with the what is it, the Valoon? Dude, the whole Jin influence, like with the how it's gonna be like ripped on their body, and there's gonna be like maybe like ethereal light that's gonna peek out.
Yeah.
That's badass, man.
Yeah.
Like, I know Steven and the team has concept art. And why couldn't you show it, Steven? Why couldn't you show a full body concept art of the ripped ethereal like light coming from there? Oh my god.
Leave us hanging.
I know, seriously. Oh my god. Oh, also too, the Tolnar. Finally, like after all this time, like what did you think of the Tolnar?
I honestly, I didn't know what to expect, right? Because everybody had these conceptions about what they thought it was going to be. And, you know, we just hadn't seen, we only seen the silhouettes of them, and they looked like maybe they had some tails or could be a little bit reptilian, but like seeing them like some actual like the concepts of them, they were very much better than expected. Shattered my expectations. So,
bro,
I can't wait to get my hands on that character creator and kind of get the chance to play around with those.
Yeah, so I know everyone's favorite was the Dragonborn guy at the end on the right.
Yep.
My favorite was the middle one, the wolf lion chimera hybrid guy. Bro, that looked so good. And the one thing is, like, you know, playing WoW for so long, is that everything just looks so cartoony and just friendly. Like, it doesn't look ferocious. It doesn't look like manly. Like, I want a freaking man race. And those Tolnar, man, like even the freaking ape looking one, which is kind of, I think, more orcish in nature, but like the gorilla orcish one, dude, you can do some Dragon Ball Z references, or like, you know what I mean? Like all of the concepts looked amazing. Like, I really cannot wait. And Steven also said you're gonna be able to like combine them and do some weird stuff with them. Like, I don't know about you, but I need this damn character creator on my hands. Like, I needed it yesterday. So I would really love to see like what also they're going to do with the character creator. Like, seriously, like they're like, oh, this is not even his final form. And I'm like, I believe you guys, but what else are you going to add? Like, it's already, to me, at the level of Black Desert Online. Like, that's a feat to do. And I mean, yes, they have to add the other races or whatever, but as far as the customization, literally what more are you guys going to add? Like, I don't know. But again, like, I digress. So, like, I guess the one other question I wanted to ask you, and this is something I've been asking a lot of people, like, are you worried about the 64 class system?
No, that's a good question, man. I'm really just kind of sitting back and waiting to see where they take this, right? Because one of the things that you think about, like, what does a bard tank look like, right? What does a tank mage look like? What does a tank ranger look like? And, you know, a lot of things over here with the 64 class combination is, you know, it's going to augment your abilities. It's only going to kind of change the flavor of them. It's not going to like change the whole class too much. Well, then, you know, then you have to, it kind of define like what does your tank look like at its base
Level.
at its base level, right? Because you can't have 4 types of tanks if the subclass is only augmenting kind of the flavor of the ability, right?
True.
That doesn't allow for that kind of that same type of homogenization. So it's just like I'm like I said, I'm kind of sitting back and waiting to see where they take that before I kind of make my opinion about that.
So
I definitely think it's going to be an interesting feat for them, but hey, if they can knock it out of the park,
I just think, Steven, if you're listening, let's just have a heart to heart right now. Scrap the system. Get rid of it. Like, you've always said, Steven, that we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. Why are you doing it with the class system? Like, there's not a lot of MMOs, because I know people are like, oh, Arcage has like 120 something combinations. Okay, that's one MMO. Like, every other MMO has standard classes. Just give us standard classes. Like, and I know we have 8 base archetypes. Like, I understand that. But people want customization. Or I'll just speak for myself. I want customization. 8 different flavors of a freaking color isn't going to satisfy me with my class customization. It just isn't. And I feel like this system also is not expandable. Like, think about it. Like, if you add one new base archetype, now we go from 64 classes to 81. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just it doesn't make sense. And like, even if you were just to cut it and just say, hey, we're not doing the whole combining classes kind of thing, but just have like, you have a base class and then you have like 3 or even 4 different specializations you can go in. So if you want to be a summoner, you can go down the necromancer path. You can go down the other path, like the whatever other paths you want to go to, and just pick 4 out of the 8 that are probably the most popular, and just do that. Like, because having 32 is way better, and probably, because I guess my whole fear is that it's so spread wide, like an ocean. But guess what? The ocean is 2 inches deep. Like, I don't want that. I don't think a lot of people want that. We want depth. We want levels of customization. I'm not asking for like Path of Exile levels of customization, but maybe I am a little bit. I love that game, but all I'm saying is I want some depthness into the talent trees, into the weapon trees, into the skill trees. I don't know if they're going to do that with its current setup. So I've always been just really worried about this 64 class system.
I honestly think I think that it can be done depending on how they do their augment system with other types of augments, because one of the things that they've kind of talked about is they want other types of augments. Basically, if you're part of the divine node, you get augments through PvP arenas, you get augments through player agency. So like if you're part of the Thieves Guild, if you're part of a certain religion that has augments, I think that they can keep that interesting. They just have to go more of an ESO route. I'm not sure if you played ESO, but
I have not.
I think we were. Yeah, okay. So in ESO, you have a set of skills for your class, but your skill, the skills that you use for your rotation, don't all come from just being a warrior per se, right? Some of them you get from joining one of the things they have is the Sigic Order, and this is a kind of NPC order that focuses on science over religion, and they focus really on like expanding the boundary of how to use magic to advance science, right? So they build robots, and there's very scientific focused. They still use magic, but they focus magic versus kind of like running a church or something like that. Just using magic to improve scientific improvement. And so when you do the quest for them, once you get to a certain ranking, as you climb up the ranks within that order, they give you extra skills that you can allot to your character. Some of them aren't for your, not every one of them aren't for your class. You might get a summoner one at level rank 9. You might get a mage one at rank 6, but you might not get your warrior one till rank 12. But there's usually 2 or 3 ability sets out of that you can get through that order. And I think that's kind of the path that they're trying to take, is where like you get different ability sets through different player agencies, so that you're going to want to branch out. You're going to want to join, a different church, or you're going to, based on, what you need for your class.
I hope so. And again, I'm only just saying these things because if they're at a point where they can pivot, please pivot, Steven. Pivot. It's just because I'm so worried, because I feel like there could be certain levels of customization that they could do, but it being so radical with like these 8 and 8 combinations and everything like that, I just fear that the level of customization, I'll just speak for myself, it probably won't satisfy me the way I would want to be satisfied. But hey, we'll have to wait and see. Like I said, they've done a crap ton of changes with this August live stream. I'm sure they can probably do some, of course, when it comes to the classes, or their structure on the classes, and they can definitely go back on them. I mean, heck, they went from 103 nodes to 85. Anything's possible at this point, right? But
right.
Just sort of.
Am I hot micing? I'm sorry. I'm frying some fries and some chicken strips right now. I'm cooking, man, so I'm multitasking. Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. I just heard the I was like, oh my god, what's that? Okay, well, just sort of wrap it up and stuff like that. And DA, I really, really appreciate you having this conversation with me, and taking the time out to talk to me. But so just to kind of wrap things up a little bit, like, what do you want to say to the listeners that, may be interested in wanting to join a guild? Like, what are you trying to pitch to them for Enveus?
Just if you're watching this, if you're looking for a guild that's going to be active, in Alpha 2, Beta 1 and 2, throughout that going into launch, if you're looking for a competitive environment that's going, a large guild of like-minded individuals who just, we have a good time. We're all a bunch of anime degens that stay up late at night talking about the dumbest shit because we haven't slept in 12 hours and it's a launch day, and we're going hard. And if that's the the type of gameplay you're looking for, if you're looking to do kind of everything that Ashes has to offer, we come check us out. Discord.gg/Enveus. We're very active within the community. We're very active within other MMOs, and it doesn't matter if you're playing World of Warcraft, Arcades, or anything. We've got people playing almost anything. So yeah,
awesome, man. Well, DA, it was a pleasure and a privilege to talk to you, man. Hopefully again we can. Same to you. Yeah, hopefully we can have another conversation when Alpha 2 launches, and we can talk about all of the stuff that we've been doing in Alpha 2 and where we're going. Absolutely. It's gonna be nutso, man. It's gonna be nutso. But I'm really excited for September's live stream about the Ranger reveal, range combat, them fighting the Minotaurs. That's gonna be. I hope it's gonna be badass.
Those new Beastmen races look really cool. I'm excited to see what those look like.
Yes, they look amazing in the concept art. So their concept art team to the real game stuff is almost a 1-for-1. So I am very confident that they're going to look utterly amazing. But guys, like I said, if you want to join Enveus, I'm going to have in the description box, I'm going to have the link to their Discord, to their website. Just head down there and check them out. They don't bite, or maybe they do. Who knows?
Only if you like it. We don't kink shame. We don't yuck anybody's yo.
All right, guys. Well, if you like this episode of the 1v1 podcast, hit that like button, share it around with your friends, spread the word of the 1v1 podcast and its Ashes glory. Again, I am your host, Vlhadus from Vlhadus Gaming. That is DA from Enveus. He's the GM. And we will see you guys in the next one. Later, guys.
Later. Thank you for watching.